Michael Saylor is president and CEO of Microstrategy. He founded the startup in 1989 at the age of 24. Since then, the company's focus has evolved from consulting to software to e-business. Today, it is best known for helping large companies sift through their vast databases for valuable analysis and information. It has doubled in size every year and grown into a multi-million-dollar company. From the beginning, it has been driven by the vision of its leader, whose mission has been nothing less than to purge ignorance from the planet. Having said that, I am pleased to have him on this program. My God, what a task you have for yourself.
Yeah, it's an exciting world, you know. If you go back 10 years, software was a niche, you know. A spreadsheet, word processor.
Right.
Nobody ever died because their word processor crashed, right? Nobody ever lost their life savings because the spreadsheet didn't work, and yet Microsoft became very famous. I think you're going to see over the next decade that people are going to use software to route traffic on every major highway. We're going to use it to determine what hospital we go to or what drug we take. We're going to use it to arbitrage out all the spreads and the interest rates in the finance market and get us a better deal from our bank and probably a better trade in the stock market. And what that means is that if the software crashes, the civilization comes to a grinding halt, in the same way that if you shut down air traffic control at a major airport, traffic would come to a grinding halt. And that's what's exciting about technology.
So how did you come to form Microstrategy?
When I left school, I had this love for using technology and mathematics to help people make better decisions. And I built computer simulations that helped people like the DuPont Corporation or Exxon make strategic planning decisions on how to spend $1 billion capital budget. And the problem was I was 22, I knew the math, but I didn't understand the politics. Someone hands you $1 billion, you want to spend it. And I kept creating these computer programs that predicted that they were going to lose the money if they spent it. So my computer would say, don't spend it, give it back to the corporation, and it wasn't really a good result. So they kept sending me back to the drawing board to build more computer models, put graphical interfaces on it, plug it into a mainframe, network it. And after about 18 months of doing that at the DuPont Corporation, I realized that I wasn't going to be CEO of DuPont anytime soon, and they really wanted me to just keep working while they spent the money. And I decided maybe I should go back to school or start a company, those being the two things you do when you're 24 and you're disenchanted with your current career path. So I went to DuPont. I said, I quit. I'm starting a company. I will build your global multi-user networked war game if you want me to. As a contractor, please give me money.
Yeah.
And I waited, and they gave me a $250,000 contract. I said, I need $100,000 in cash up front. And they said, well, we never give 24-year-old kids $100,000 in cash because you might waste it or skip off to Brazil or something. And I used this one negotiating strategy. It only works once in your life, but it worked for me. I looked at them and I said, you have to give me the $100,000 because I have no money. So like holding your breath until they give in. And they looked at that and they had to agree I did have no money. And so they gave me the $100,000, and then they gave me free office space and computer equipment and incubated the business. Then they gave me 4 more contracts. And Microstrategy was born.
As a kind of consulting company to big corporations.
We're a consulting company to mega corporations, and we just doubled every year for about 4 years, and then we jumped onto this new technology revolution in the world of data warehousing.
And so how did you change the business?
Well, we got to about 40 or 50 people, and we realized that we couldn't keep going this way because our underlying technology was not going to work, and we needed a new wave, a new thing. And right about then, there was a technology called data warehousing that let you store every item sold in every store every day, basically billions and billions of records. And the McDonald's Corporation wanted to build a system to analyze how effective their ad campaigns were. They spend about $1 billion a year advertising, and the old axiom in that business is, I know I'm wasting half my ad budget, I just don't know which half. So the idea is run an analysis and look at the change in revenue based upon the ad campaign run in that part of the country during this time period, and adjust for weather patterns and different store sets and different prices. And
they didn't know how to analyze the data they had.
Yeah, they were drowning in the data. And no one knew because it had never been done before. So they hired us, a bunch of 20-something techie whippersnappers, and we didn't know we couldn't do it. And so we figured it out, and we thought, we'll find maybe 20 or 30 other companies that need this kind of technology. So we're going to build our own product to do data mining on mega databases. And lightning struck again. Again, I'm a very lucky guy because when it struck, the cost of building big databases dropped by a factor of 100. And instead of having 50 clients, we ended up with 5,000 potential companies out there that could use this. And of course today, with the .com revolution, everybody's collecting millions, if not billions, of bits of information, and they're all scratching their heads saying, what do I do?
How do we analyze this, and how do we determine what's the Victoria's Secret story?
Well, if you have 100,000 items and you have 1,000 stores, you have 100 million combinations of inventory, buckets of inventory, every day. And it's likely that, you find people go and there's not enough in one bucket and there's too much in another bucket. And if you have the wrong inventory mix, you lose a lot of money on merchandising. Up until about 1995, the traditional approach of merchandising was I have exactly the same assortment of items in every store, the same types of lingerie, the same sizes of lingerie.
Whereas the people in New York may want different things than the people in California, than the people in North Carolina, than the people in Texas.
Well, you certainly find there are fashion differences, and so Victoria's Secret could figure that out using our software. But even more interesting, they found out that women are different sizes.
Yeah.
Like the bra size in Chicago was larger than the bra size in New York City. And so they actually stocked a different assortment in a different store. And, of course, no one's going to buy the product if it doesn't fit them.
Right.
And so you don't make any money to ship a product across the country that no one's going to buy.
And the reason that you were of value to them is that you determined from the data they already had in their company databases that this was the reality of their sales patterns.
You could think about what we create is a large information refinery. Everybody has information, like crude oil. The question is, can they extract any value from it? And up until 1995 or 96, we sat on it, stared at it, we didn't know what to do with it. We created a technology that let you extract the value, and the value would be a elixir that said, here are all the items that are overstocked, here are all the items that are understocked by store, and up until 95 you couldn't do that. So we answered that question, and they were able to generate tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of value by knowing the answer to that question.
You went public in what year?
1998 in June.
In June. So that's 2 years ago, not quite.
18 months.
You own what
months.
percentage of the company?
About 52% fully diluted.
And the market value today is how much?
Somewhere in the area of $11 billion.
So if you own 50% not diluted, that gives you about $5.5 billion.
Probably about $6 billion
About
on a
$6
good
billion.
day.
And you're how old?
34. About to be 35.
All right.
I can run for president next week.
And you've thought about that. The idea now is, so you've got a company that has a market valuation of $11 billion. If you own 52% and you're a bachelor living in Washington, D.C., which is important because there are all kinds of privacy questions that the government may want to address. Your dream now is to do what? Tell me how you want to take the next big idea and have Microstrategy be part of it.
We made our living and we built our company based upon providing better insight to back office decision makers, the elite, white-collar quants
all
of
the
rich
stuff we've just
companies.
been talking about.
That's correct. Well, it turns out that you can unleash the power of that intelligence to the consumer, and you can help them live better lives. And I'll give you an example which impinges upon government policy and the consumer and illustrates, I think, pretty well how intelligence technology is going to change the world. And that example would be the traffic system. In Northern Virginia, we have about $250 billion in a traffic machine.
Right.
And that machine is used 800 million hours a year, and 280 million hours of it are congestion, which means if you do the math, it only works 65% of the time. 35% of the time, it's clogged. Now, you can solve the problem of traffic in two ways. One way is the 20th century way, which is I pay $30 billion to build more highways, and I make everybody mad because I'm ripping up the road, and it takes me 10 years, and at the end of the 10 years, the traffic system is 10% better. Or the other way is I can collect a catalog of 5 million people's traffic demand. Where do they want to drive?
Change patterns.
And I can look at how fast the traffic is moving.
Yeah.
And if I have a road like Route 66 and it's about to clog, I can pick the 15,000 people in Northern Virginia at their desk about to get on that road, send them a message to their pager or their telephone and say, you know, you might want to take a different road because this one's open, that one's clogged. Or everything's clogged. Sit where you are, surf the web, talk to your mother on the phone or have a cup of coffee because you ain't going nowhere. Now, the truism with traffic is if I can move you from 105% utilization to 95% utilization, the rate of speed on the road goes from 5 miles an hour to 60 miles an hour. You debottleneck the entire system, you free up the congestion, and that network starts to work more efficiently. Now, here's the punchline. Instead of spending $30 billion to improve the effectiveness 10% in 10 years, you could spend $100 million and improve the effectiveness by 10 or 20% this year, now, and get all the benefits and do it for 1/100th the amount of money.
with whatever gains there are in productivity of all those workers at the same time.
And then you free up 200 million hours of time every year to go and invest or read or be with your kids or live a better life. And so I think that this is a revolutionary point in time because people are used to spending a lot of government money on concrete and steel. They don't really think about spending government money on intelligent networks. You know, we have a bridge in D.C. called the Wilson Bridge.
Right, I know it.
Okay, it's a $1.3 billion project to replace that bridge, and $500 million is just to make it a 12-lane bridge instead of a 10-lane bridge. And you know, they only need the extra lane for $500 million because 15 minutes a day, people are not smart enough to get off the bridge. And so if they could debottleneck that bridge with intelligence, right, they could afford to buy everybody a cell phone in the entire state.
Talk to me about the applications for medicine and the significance of that.
Well, I have a massive passion for intelligent medicine, right? And the reason why is because you have people going to hospitals, being treated by doctors, taking drugs all the time, and their personal experience is buried in a mattress and nobody knows what happened, and no one is leveraging or using that experience to live a better life. If you could collect all of the data about the 20 or 30 or 50 million people that went through the medical system in the past 6 months, and then you could score it by their therapy and their demographic and who treated them and what happened and the outcome, then I could say to you, okay, you have a knee surgery and you've got, 10 choices of doctors. This one succeeds 99% of the time. That one succeeds 20% of the time on people just like you. And if you go to this treatment, you'll get out in 2 days, and this treatment will take 6 weeks. And you deserve to know that, and we could answer that question. It's an abomination in the eyes of God that Walmart buys our technology to make sure they don't run out of Snickers bars on the shelf, and yet we don't use this technology to make sure we don't run out of blood or we don't put you in the hospital for 4 additional weeks. It's the same problem.
It is everything you have said so far is about people having more information to make smarter decisions, whether it's a company selling a product, whether it's someone looking to get to A to B in the fastest possible way, or C, it is someone making a decision about what doctor, what treatment, and having available what are the experiences of a range of other people who may have the same profile. Key to this, as you know better than I do, it is the notion you've got to have the information coming in. So I've got to give my records, and you've got to give your records, and everybody else has got to give their records. And all of a sudden people say, holy mackerel, this is Big Brother looking right at us because he wants us to give up private information that may be accessible somehow by other people because we know of the skill of people and hackers around the world to get at systems that we thought were not penetratable.
Trust. Trust is the core issue. You have to trust this deposit of information. And I would say that trust is central to the development of our entire Western civilization for the past 2,000 years. Now, if we roll the clock back, I would offer as a metaphor the bank. What is a bank? A bank stores information that people have about their personal wealth holdings. In order for a bank to work, we need to trust the banking system. And the way we do it is the government defines a currency. I can sell my pig, and you can sell your land, and she can sell her seed corn for money into a market. I get the money back, and I have to trust the currency because if I sell my pig for $10 and I got to buy it back for $100 next week, I'm not going to trust the markets. That's why inflation kills the banking system. If I do have a government that has a stable currency, then I can trade all my assets for money. Money is information. I can put the money into a bank, and the banker is a database guy holding a ledger of everybody's name and their money and protecting their interest. Now along comes a guy that has a lot more time than he has money. He wants to start a farm, so he borrows money, flips a note back, takes the money, buys land, gets pigs, gets some seed corn, plants, creates the farm, sells that stuff in the open market, pays off the interest to the bank. The banker passes back that interest to the depositor. Everybody with assets gets interest. Everybody without assets gets a loan.
I understand.
And the banking system
I
works.
understand the trust mantra.
Right.
Medical information is different and more private, and people are much more fearful. I mean, if you take most people that you know and say, would you mind if I talk to your doctor and have him tell me every conversation she has ever had with you and tell me everything that you have ever confided in him or her, you would not like that, right?
That's right.
Trust on that issue is much more significant than it is some financial transaction where someone knows how much cash you have in the bank and someone knows something about whether we believe that a bank is going to keep our money safe.
If I could make the point that trust is earned and you can get people's permission. I don't want people to know my name, but I wouldn't mind if the bank used my encrypted ID and used it to save somebody else's life. Now, I might not actually be charitable. Maybe I don't really care if they save his life, but I can actually get self-interest going, because if you join my medical bank, my benefit to you is you get 2 years of additional life yourself, right? The payoff of a medical bank is...
Assuming that I'll have information that will prolong my life for 2 years.
Assuming that you get anything of value out of it.
You believe that wireless technology is going to be as profound in terms of changing the way we do things in comparison to the Internet as the Internet was to bricks and mortar. The powerful influence today, let's look at commercials at the Super Bowl, powerful influence today of e-business, which has been an extraordinary manifestation of the Internet. Wireless is going to change what?
Well, people are fond in the dot-com world of saying, you know, the web changes everything. But a historian of technology would say technology changes everything, new technique. I would characterize the existing Internet as www.isyourhouseonfire.com. Right? You can go there, you put in your house address, and zip, in 1 second, I know whether my house is on fire, and maybe I've got really pretty flames coming up.
Right.
But how useful is that? Not very useful for a whole class of applications like Is Your House on Fire? It's fine if you know the book you want to buy, and you type in the book and you buy it. But if you want insurance or peace of mind, or if you want the best possible intelligence service, you can't get it from a reactive Internet. The next version of technology is going to be the proactive, personal, ubiquitous Internet, which we'll call wireless in this case. It means that I would go and I would say www.callmeifmyhouseisonfire.com, or even better, www, if I need to know anything, just tell me. Right? Now, I don't have to look anymore. I go off, and you can listen to 1 million channels. We made computers speak to each other this year. Microstrategy created a product that is a synthesizer. It'll actually ring 1 million people, wake them up in the middle of the night and say, Margie, your daughter's in the hospital. Mike, you're about to lose your life savings in the stock market. Biff, the plane that leaves at 6 a.m. is canceled. Take a different plane. And that's a totally different level of service. And the reason it changes everything is because speed is life. And our goal is to be faster to the transaction. Give the person the answer within 60 seconds of when it makes sense. Example, Spielberg wins the Oscars. I don't want to guess whether he'll win the Oscars. I want to wait until he wins, and then within 60 seconds blast 497,000 self-proclaimed Spielberg fans and say, did you know he won? Do you want the DVD? And they would say, yes. And I know that 97,000 people want to buy the DVD. There is no risk. I debit their credit card. I ship the DVD. I manufacture 97,000. No inventory, no real estate, no direct marketing, no waste. Because I use speed to make the economic engine work twice as efficiently. It only works with wireless. It doesn't work with the Internet. And if you have an Internet site, guess what? It's going to be just as obsolete as bricks and mortar, because no one's going to the Internet if within 60 seconds of material news, I've already done the transaction right here on my pager.